Hi everyone, Josh here with Josh Nom Golf, and thank you for watching this video. Today we're going to talk about how pressure shifting, or more commonly known as weight shift, throughout the golf swing works, and a couple things that I think will really help you hit the ball farther and straighter and more consistent when you understand how the pressure or weight shift in our swing should work and what the best players in the world do to make it work. We're also going to look at dynamic vertical force, which we'll get into a little more in depth in a second. But basically, how do we use the ground to generate power? So I've got up two swings here of a good friend of mine, John Novosel Jr. And for you that don't know John, he's kind of involved in a lot of things, but two of his best known is he's the co-founder of Tour Tempo Golf. If you know anything about Tour Tempo Golf, it's awesome. And if you don't, go check out Tour Tempo. And John also competes in World Long Drive. He's one of the longest hitters in the world. So he's a great person to kind of look at how is he using his ground and how is he moving his weight throughout the swing and what can we learn from it to hit the ball farther. So real quick, we're going to start on the left and we're going to talk about how this mapping works. So over here on the left, this is what we're looking at here. It's John's right foot, or his lead foot. And I'll always refer to as lead foot or his front foot in the golf swing. And over here on the right is his trail foot. And what you're going to see here, these two numbers on the bottom left where the cursor is, this means he's got 64% of his pressure on his lead foot at address, 36% of his pressure on his trail foot at address. And when we look on this side, the 17, I'll draw a little circle here. This is 17% of his pressure on his trail foot is towards the heel. The heel is up top here. His toes, are on the bottom part here. That's 83%. And there is numbers over here on the left as well. You just can't see them right now. You will in a second. And this white dot you see right here, that is the center of pressure. So this will make a lot more sense as we go. But if we just look at these numbers on the bottom, at setup, he has 64% of his pressure on his lead foot. And one of the characteristics of all long hitters of the ball, happens about 100% of the time, is they start out on their lead foot at address, 60%, 65%, give or take, and they immediately, in the takeaway, push a lot of pressure into their trail foot, maybe 90%, 95% into the trail foot with the driver almost immediately. And to do this, you need to get pressure on your front foot because you need something to push off of. So I'm not a big fan when I see people setting up with 80, 85% of their weight or their pressure on their back foot because there's nowhere to go. It's not a dynamic motion. It's just kind of stagnant sitting there. So we see with John here with 65% of his pressure on his lead foot. And as he takes this back, almost immediately you're going to see that pressure move into his trail foot. And he's got 99% into his trail foot immediately. You can see how the front foot's picking up. Again, the toe part's on the bottom. You kind of see it, but 84% of the pressure, it's really 100%, is on his toe. But 99% of his pressure is into his trail foot almost immediately. So he goes from, say, 65-35 to, boom, basically 100% of his pressure is on his trail foot immediately. And it's starting to work towards the heel of his foot. As he goes back, it's going to stay there. There he's 100% of his pressure is on his trail foot. And it's pretty much going to stay there till we get to the top of his backswing. But something interesting, and this is what, again, every long hitter of the golf ball does, is they get their pressure moving to their front foot early and very aggressively. So let's watch this with John. So he's got 95% of his pressure here on his trail foot. And as he gets right to the top of his swing, boom, you're going to see 70% onto his front foot, just like that. So he goes from 90% to 70% on his front foot, just like that. You can see that front foot stomping down right there in transition. One of the things I see with most short hitters or bad golfers is they don't get their pressure transferred to their lead foot quick enough. They kind of stay on their back foot the whole time. What John does, and all long hitters do, is he really slams down hard on that front foot. And we can see really right in transition, kind of right at the top of his backswing, he goes from 90 on his back to 70 on his front foot immediately. And then from there, there's not a lot we're going to learn from this side of the screen. And what you're actually going to see here is his pressure actually moves backwards into his back foot. It's not really happening. What's happening is, as you see through here, his front foot's actually getting airborne or leaving the ground, so there's no pressure on it. His center of mass might be over that foot, but he's airborne, so the mat's not seeing anything. And that leads us to the right-hand side of the screen in this dynamic vertical force, or DVF. Now, looking at this, here's what we're looking at. Basically, this line that says 1 here, right here, this white line that goes like this, 1, is basically John's body weight without any movement. So if he's just standing there, I don't know how much John weighs, but let's say 200 pounds. If John's just standing on the mat, it would be at 1, that would be 200 pounds. The 2 you see above it would be double his body weight, and here at the bottom, 0 means he's weightless. And this is really fascinating to me, and what you see with all long hitters. As John takes this back, we're going to see a couple things here. So as he takes this back, in terms of his weight he's putting down, or the force vertically, he's pretty level. And when we look at this, the orange line you see here on top is his total amount of force he's pushing down with. The yellow right below it is from his trail foot. The blue way down here is from his lead foot. So the yellow and blue will always equal to the orange if we put a numerical value to this. So we can see right here, if you look down at the bottom, he has a total of 1.01. So basically stagnant weight. 0.95 of it is in the trail foot, 0.06 in the lead, which equals 1.01. So again, numerical value of that, basically on his trail foot, if he is 200 pounds, he's putting, 190, 195 on that, 5 pounds or so force on the front foot. So as he goes back, it stays pretty similar. And then as he gets to the top, he gets lighter. He's actually rising up. And then right here, when we saw on the pressure trace, and I'm going to kind of go back to it, but you see how the blue line starts going up rapidly and the yellow line starts going down. That's his pressure shift to his lead foot. That is this point here on the left we were talking about, when he goes from 90 on his back foot to 70 on his lead foot almost immediately. That's what we're seeing here in a vertical component. So he's really going to stomp down hard on that lead foot. And we can see there, he actually has at this point double his body weight into the ground. Okay, so again, I don't know what John weighs, but if he does weigh 200 pounds, and this is a scale, he's putting 400 pounds of pressure down on the ground. What that's going to do is allow him to really use the ground to explode up through it, which he does, and you can see both feet are off the ground. He's basically weightless at this point. And that adds a tremendous amount of club head speed, a tremendous amount. And I said earlier, I think one of the most overly used terms or words we see in golf is stay stable. Keep the lower body quiet or stay stable. No long hitter in the world stays quiet or stable. They're really using the ground a lot, very explosively, to create club head speed and to create distance. And John's one of the best in the world at doing that. So you can see here with John, he really stomps down hard on that, like he's stomping down on a scale to get that thing to pop up high. And then he's exploding up and off of it and getting weightless through it to add all that speed and power. And we have a guy that swings the club, 130, 135 miles an hour and has ball speeds in the 180s and 190s. It's just incredible how far he hits it if you've ever seen him hit a golf ball. But I think this will really help you guys understand and learn that the best players in the world don't have a quote-unquote stable lower body or a quiet lower body or try to keep their feet planted. They're really using the ground to generate as much power as possible. And I hope this helps you start using the ground and hitting the ball longer, farther, and more accurately, and ultimately leading to lower golf scores. So please let me know if you have any questions on this. Thank you for watching, and email me at josh@joshnamgolf.com if you have any suggestions for other videos.